have with us Valentine, who is actually our next speaker. And she is one of the, let's say, main technical experts at Europeana Foundation there. I have here a cheat sheet with the different speaker bios, but maybe I will let Valentine say even better what her role is there, and tell us a bit more about what to expect from the data space.
Sorry to stop you for 1 second. Sorry to stop you there. So a little announcement for the afternoon and the evening. When you finish, we will have our awards. Best Paper Award is sponsored by MDPI, China and Switzerland. Best Student Award is sponsored by Open Archaeology. Then we have our Digital Creative Award. You have to vote. We will have a QR code for voting. So after 4, when you're finished here, come to the main room. And in the evening, we will meet, informal meeting at Blunzenstricke. You know, I hope everyone knows the address. If there are questions, please ask. I will help you to find there. You can go with us also then, maybe, but I'm sure you find it. And this is very important. It's a very nice restaurant. And who of you know what a Blunzen is? No one. A black sausage. It's a blood, but they have also other meat, other things, vegetarian, and so don't mind. And the first drink is paid by the district, and then you have to pay for yourself. But it's a very nice restaurant. You will see it's old style and very stylish, and you will find inside some things you have never seen, maybe before. You will find an alcomat. Who knows what an alcomat is? In the, you tried it? An alcomat is a automat. You can go there if you drink something, but it's not now in use. And before you left the restaurant, you try how many promilles you have, if you're able to drive and allowed to drive. And this you have good checks there. It's from the year 1950 or 1960. There's also all inside these rooms, and you will find very, very special things. So come on with us. So thank you for your time, and I wish you a big panel.
Thank you very much for inviting us here. And that sounds like a great cultural heritage object that we should build a story around, right? That's. Yeah.
On the ceiling, you find things you have never seen on the ceiling.
All right, that's worth going there and capturing a bit, right? That's good. All right, thank you. Now we come back to our program and give the floor to Valentine.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Alex. Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, my name is Valentine Charles. I'm the Data Services Director at Europeana. So all the initiatives that are going to be presented to you this afternoon are contributing to the data space for cultural heritage. This is an initiative that is at the moment deployed by a consortium of 18 partners together with Europeana Foundation, the Europeana Network Association, and the Europeana Aggregator Forum. So a large consortium that is working on building capacity for cultural heritage and aggregating data from all cultural heritage institutions in Europe. So far, Europeana had been working for 15 years to collect metadata regarding many types of objects, so images, videos, audios, etc. But 3D was not a focus. The focus of 3D was motivated by the European Commission recommendation 2021, which were recommendations addressed to every member state in Europe, asking member states to digitize at least 50% of all the monuments and sites deemed at risk, and also most of the physically visited cultural sites in Europe. So this was the motivation. However, we realized that member states were not ready to tackle the topic of 3D. First, infrastructure was lacking, and also knowledge. You know what it requires to do 3D digitization. What are the type of infrastructure that are needed? What do you need to do to start with 3D? So the idea was to create, to build capacity, and that's why we organized the Twin It campaign. So the campaign was launched in June 2023. And the idea was to create a momentum for 3D in Europe and support cultural heritage institutions to start working on 3D. So the mandate was very simple. Twin It was a call for every member state in Europe to contribute at least one 3D object, a 3D asset, to the data space for cultural heritage. So every country had to select an asset, whether it was a monument or a site deemed at risk, a monument or sites physically visited intensively, or an asset that belonged to a low category of digitization, so underrepresented cultural heritage. And this is what happened. So first, the Twin It campaign allowed us to engage member state at a European level. So all the 27 EU member states contributed, submitted an asset to the data space for cultural heritage, so selected an object and submitted it in 3D. So for example, Austria submitted the Eidentor, if I'm saying it correctly. And the result has been 37 3D model that we have showcased in the Europeana.eu website. And that you can also consult now. We also had one guest country, Albania, who also selected and submitted a 3D model. So being able to get there required to build capacity. So the first, on the back of the campaign, the idea was really to upgrade the data space infrastructure to support 3D. So we needed to build infrastructure to be able to publish 3D item. We needed to review our data model to accommodate the requirement of 3D. And most importantly, we had to build capacity. So really explain to cultural heritage institution what is the potential of 3D, how are you making 3D, how difficult can it be, and providing also technical solutions to do it. The two main activities that happened on the back of the campaign was really focusing on extending the Europeana data model for 3D, reusing existing standard and capturing some requirements for 3D, and also extending the Europeana publishing framework, which is the framework that defines quality in Europeana, and try to identify how can you measure the quality of 3D, especially in the context of reuse. Reuse, that's what the keyword for this panel. So the idea was not only to have member states participating and making a 3D model, but the idea was also to show how 3D can be used for many different applications and engage different audiences, because the idea of what we do is to make sure that cultural heritage is used for most of the citizens for many different type of use cases. So to continue to support the member states, so as I said, we had to build capacity. We organized 4 Twin It cafes to address different topics around 3D, such as data modeling, but also licensing, which was a big area where more explanation were needed. Also, in collaboration with the 4CH Competence Center, 5 webinars were organized to really demonstrate the full 3D value chain and how you are moving from 3D digitization to 3D publication. And the result of the Twin It campaign was celebrated this year in May in Brussels, and we had 10 ministers of culture attending the final event. So we were able to really promote the effort made by each member state and raise the awareness of the need to invest in 3D digitization. We also, the campaign was a way to engage with professionals. So we had 3 conferences that were organized as part of the European presidencies. So we had one event in Sweden as part of the Swedish presidency, an event in Spain, and then lastly an event in Brussels for the Belgium presidencies. And this was a way to gather policy makers and address the topic of 3D at a higher level. We also gathered feedback for professional and experts working on 3D by publishing many articles on the Europeana Pro platform that was covering technical aspects of the work on 3D or work that is being done on around reuse, etc. And then we had also a label that was used to support initiatives around 3D, and this was used in 15 initiatives that received the label. Then the idea was to really engage the public with 3D, to show what is feasible with 3D and how 3D can support many different use cases. So the Twinit results were published in an online exhibition that received more than 14,000 visitors on the Europeana.eu website. And also the 3D model were assembled into a virtual museum that we published on the open source platform Steam that have also received a lot of visit and a lot of downloads. So the Twinit objects were downloaded more than 50,000 times, which really shows that there is potential for cultural heritage to be reused in many different applications, especially when it's made openly accessible. And also Twinit was also part of the G20 contribution. So the G20 happened in 2023. We also did other activities, engaging audiences as part of our digital storytelling festival around 3D and showcasing how 3D can be used in a storytelling way and how it can be used to illustrate different activity. And it was also 3D was one of the model, the format proposed as part of our creative residency, where the idea was to invite artists and people interested in doing something creative to use 3D as part of their creative creation. So all of this was what happened on the back of the campaign. So the idea was really to create this this momentum. And now where we are. So this is not finished. And I think the fact that this conference is also happening shows that the work on 3D needs to continue. So we have identified 7 priorities to continue advancing on 3D digitization. And these concern first, deploying a more purpose-led and user-based approach to 3D digitization. Of course, we need to digitize in 3D for preservation purpose, but the idea is really to make sure that 3D models are reusable for different audiences group. We also need to continue to work on infrastructure for 3D, whether it's developing storage solution for 3D, but also continuing to develop standards and data model to capture all the requirements of 3D. And also, most importantly, to continue to develop capacity. So as part of cultural heritage institution, professionals should be able to develop their skills in terms of 3D digitization, documentation, and preservation. So we need to continue to work on guideline training so that we can empower the whole sector in also doing 3D. So this was what happened during the campaign. It created a momentum, and now I have colleagues that are going to showcase specific application of 3D. Thank you.